I think, says Jim Carrey, everybody should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of so that they can see that it's not the answer. Ready to go learn how to live healthier, wealthier and wiser as an artist in showbiz? Hey, I'm Lara Bianca Pilcher. I'm crazy about helping artists to live out their creative dreams and nurture themselves at the foundation of their creative career. I'm an artist and actor and showbiz educator with over 20 years in the arts and entertainment industry in London, Australia and now Atlanta, USA. I'm here to show you how to navigate this topsy-turvy world called showbiz, uncover the secrets of success, unlocking the powerful artist you are. I've done a lot. Performed, worked in TV, film, radio, stage, produced, directed, choreographed, acting, singing, voice work, musical theatre, dance company, toured, moved, casting, auditioned, self-taped, teaching, press, critics, branding, marketing, side hustles, and all the hoo-ha, while maintaining a happy marriage with 2 gorgeous kids. And there will only be real talk here, friends. Think of this podcast as a masterclass in helping you build your creative career, while also learning how to holistically navigate the artist's life. This is the Healthy, Wealthy, Wise Artist Podcast. Have you got any friends or heard someone say, my next goal is to be famous, or that's what I want for my profession in life, to be famous? Well, that led me to write this episode and record this episode because I think that I'm hearing more and more that people are making fame like some sort of career choice, like some sort of goal for their life, when fame is not something that we actually have control over. But let me explain what I mean further. Because although desiring to be famous as an artist, dancer, actor, singer, oh wow, what an allure to be a famous actor, to be a famous artist. So few people get to do it. And it's not necessarily wrong to desire it. It may be wise to investigate the reasons why, asking yourself, why do I crave being famous? And you might even, if you don't think you crave fame, you might even look at this from the perspective of, why do I crave a huge following on social media? Or why do I want to have incredibly huge success? And break it down into these pieces that I'm going to talk to you about. What are the differences between making it, success, popularity, and fame? But for some people, poor self-esteem can cause a desire for fame and negatively influence other elements of your life. However, there's always ways to develop your self-esteem and emotional awareness. In addition, there are ways to educate yourself about fame and whether it's what you really are seeking. The great side of fame. Anyone involved in show business or who has any taste of celebrity understands that there's a lovely spot on the fame continuum. The place where you have entry to what you want. You can eat fancy food, travel first class, enjoy 5-star hotels. The place where no one's bothering you, and maybe there's a feeling that everything revolves around you. However, it's not under your control whether you will stay in this fame sweet spot. Here's a quote by Dr. Rockwell as part of her doctorate on the psychology of fame and celebrity. She says, fame becomes an addiction. We become addicted to that level of not only attention, but adulation. There is also this, in brackets, has-been problem, in inverted commas rather, because you can't keep that bright light forever. So why do I crave being famous? I often ask artists, performers, dancers, actors, singers, voice artists, whether they want to make it or whether they want to make. In fact, I have that line on my Instagram. It's a great question. There is a competitive nature to showbiz. Showbiz meaning the entertainment industry. As a performer, you need to have a drive for success and the ability to believe sincerely in yourself amongst the competition. Booking work and getting to do what we've trained to and trained for is beautiful because we love what we do. This is what I'm referring to by make. I want to make my art. I want to be good and I want to book work and I want to perform. The phrase we often hear in the entertainment industry is, I want to make it. To make it is to achieve something or to become successful. For example, your conservatory professor might say that to make it as a dancer, you've got to be good at both your technique as well as performance expression. Therefore, we should want to make it if we look at it from this angle. But what about when people have a goal of craving to be famous? Is this still wanting to make it? In other words, it may be time to ask yourself, why do I crave being famous? So let's look at the difference between craving fame and wanting to make it. I believe craving to be famous and people wanting to make it are profoundly different. Successful people are not always famous, and famous people, on the other hand, are usually successful at something. For instance, performers can be wildly successful and make it, but not be famous. Here's a quote: "Fame is cool, but I believe in success," says Floyd Mayweather Jr., American boxing promoter. Being popular is being liked by many people. Being famous is being known about by many people. Therefore, I propose the question, do you actually want to be successful and be a working artist, or does your goal of fame want all eyes on you? And that may not be relevant for you personally, but most certainly will be relevant for people that you meet in the arts industry. You may even have someone in mind right now. So what you need to do is focus on what you can control as a performer, because perhaps that's a better approach, because you can control some aspects of your work as an artist. For example, treating others with respect and being a nice person to work with. We can control our training as performers and ensure that our product, our talent, is top-notch and skilled, and that we are ready for auditions and shows and things like that. We cannot control whether or not we will be famous. That is an outcome of success for some people. Quote, "Stardom isn't a profession, it's an accident," says Lauren Bacall, American actress. In the golden years of Hollywood, there was this well-known saying that I assume a manager or a talent agent said, "I'm going to make you a star, kid," and you've probably heard that. I'm confident that not all managers saying this to their signed artist achieved that in the end, but in the end, fame is controlled by the audiences and what they want. This want moves fast. One person is famous and at the top of the world for 1 week. The following week, they could be old news and no longer booking entertainment work, because fame is transient, ever-moving, and hard to sustain. Marilyn Monroe said this gorgeous quote, "If fame goes by, so long. I've had you, fame. If it goes by, I've always known it was fickle, so at least it's something I experienced, but that's not where I live." And she is probably one of the most famous figures that ever lived. I actually Googled for this episode, who is the most famous person that ever lived? And the answer might surprise you. The answer was Jesus Christ. Isn't that incredible? I had a fleeting taste of fame. My short taste of fame as a reality TV star was challenging. I was subject to internet trolls, immense judgment, and witnessing online chats about me by people who wrote as if they knew me. But I had signed a non-disclosure with the network and couldn't comment on any of it. Let's say the network had all the power and I was under their control. We were not allowed to use our personal publicists. They had their own. That actually means that they controlled all the media and press about the TV show, and us, the talent, they controlled that too. The editing, narrative, and publicity about me were all controlled by somebody else, legally. With public popularity and exposure comes fantastic fun, privileges, and experiences. I loved getting airfares to Sydney, free 5-star hotels, all my meals covered, someone coming up to me and saying, "What can I get you for lunch? Here's a coffee." I mean, super, super fun. Having my hair and makeup done, fun experience. However, there is also control, criticism, and judgment. If you crave being famous as your goal, ask yourself if you know what is really involved. And this is unlikely if you haven't experienced any level of fame or huge popularity for a season. You need to be prepared to handle the pressures that come with it. I think, says Jim Carrey, everybody should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of so that they can see that it's not the answer. Jim Carrey said that, and he is one of the most famous people in the world today. but he is now left acting. And here's another few quotes that he said. "I really like my quiet life. I really like putting paint on canvas, and I really love my spiritual life. And I feel like," and this is something you might never hear from another celebrity so long as time exists, "I have enough. I've done enough. I am enough. I'm going to continue to be in the world no matter what. We have more of an effect on the world than we know. We don't have to be multi-hyphenates to affect the world," says Jim Carrey. Multi-hyphenate is being a celebrity and being something else and, having all these things about us. He's saying we don't need to be that to affect the world. Isn't that amazing? Here's a quick shout out to someone who left me the most beautiful review. 5 stars, gorgeous words. Thank you so much, Sarah St. Clair. According to Psych Alive, fame is a dangerous drug. Ready for the Close-Up Celebrity Experience and the Phenomenology of Fame describes the dead-end cycle of fame's merry-go-round through first-hand reports of celebrity experience in the book Film and Television Stardom. Here's another quote. "Developmentally, the celebrity goes through a process of first loving, then hating fame. Addiction, acceptance, and then adaptation, both positive and negative, to the fame experience. Becoming a celebrity alters the person's being in the world," says Dr. Donna Rockwell. I've quoted her before, a licensed clinical psychologist. She also writes that once fame hits with its growing sense of isolation, mistrust, and lack of personal privacy, the person develops a kind of character splitting between the celebrity self and the authentic self, as a survival technique in the hyperkinetic and heady atmosphere associated with celebrity life. Dr. Rockwell's study outlines 4 stages of fame. The first phase is love and a love-hate, where the celebrity loves finally getting acknowledged, but then it gets creepy and they hate it. Secondly, there's an addiction phase. This sounds like, I may not like this, but I can't live without it for some reason. And I think some of us can relate to that, even with social media. Like, I don't like having to do social media. I don't like having to, you hear people say all the time, but they can't seem to stop themselves, looking for those red likes or those how many people views, all of those kind of things. It can be a very strange thing that we hate but can't live without, which is primarily an addiction. The third phase is acceptance. The fourth and final stage is adaptation, which includes realizing that you are part of something larger than yourself. Wow. And you hear people like Oprah Winfrey who are in different places. She's had a huge career, but she often talks about the fact that she knows she's part of something larger than herself. And man, does she influence people within her fame for such good and positivity. That is an incredible mantle that she carries. According to the psychologist and author Pamela Stevenson, fame is extremely bad for your health. Many celebrities struggle with their mental health, including anxiety, depression, body image issues, and other mental struggles with their health. And I quoted this in the very recent episode, Body Image Issues for Performers, when I talked about how Zac Efron had an experience of both body image issues and depression after shooting Baywatch because of the incredible stress that it put on his health to be able to keep his weight at a certain level. So it's not always as easy as it looks and as perfect as it looks. So your fame dream comes true, now what? Singer and former member of the Pussycat Dolls, Kayla Jones, stepped away from fame and fortune to stay true to herself, sharing regarding fame that, "Here's your dream, now it's coming true. The great part was being able to work with the best writers and producers on the planet. However, this was a deal between the owner of the dolls and the record company. She says we were hired as cast members. Getting calls that day about what you ate, who you date, and who you speak to, you're controlled." She shared that challenges for her was similar to what caused performers everywhere to compromise who they are. This is her quote, "Don't say no, because there's someone younger, thinner, prettier, better if you're not willing to. You're disposable." And I can relate to things like that because you think, I don't want to work for this rate of pay, or I don't want to have these working conditions, but I'm going to do this and compromise my belief in whatever it is in order to have this job as an artist because someone else will do it if I don't. And that can control us and stop us being true to ourselves. And I love what she says in response to that because it doesn't work for her. She says, I got to do me. This is BS. The high point was good, but I didn't want to stick around for the low, she says. She said walking away from the money and the friends in the biz was hard. She shares the powerful story of being on a big stage and waiting for her cue to sing, seeing a small girl in the audience and idolizing her, saying to her mother, "Look, Mummy, a pussycat doll." She thought there is no way I would sell this to kids because I refuse to let more children think that this is the right thing. She shares that they dressed sexily, sang about sex, and were trying to sell sex, essentially, to that kid. And she said, that's disgusting. And it's amazing that she had that moment that she realized, I'm not proud of what I'm doing. Like I said with Oprah, performers can be influencers for good. I remember performing for younger children earlier in my career in a touring theatre company. I think we did like 150 performances per theatre show. It was a lot of touring and a lot of performing all around Australia, particularly Western Australia. And I've seen firsthand how little girls idolized me on stage, which was so sweet. They asked for autographs, and to be honest, I enjoyed the admiration and the feeling of influence. But it is always and was always fleeting. As performers and artists, we have the incredible power of influence. We can use fame for good also. I have a friend that I met in London who wanted to be famous, to influence people for good. However, the hard to influence others starts now with the few people around you, not when you're famous. I asked him, do you generally crave being famous for others or for you? What's your motivation? Of course, I never heard the answer. Kayla Jones also shared that everything she did was for the song, for the shot, for the camera. And she asked, are people aware of the eating disorders and the drugs? And the more you talk about it, the more you take your power back. Stop this, everything is fine. The reason why the world is in this place is that we haven't talked about it. Talking about her truths got Kayla into much trouble with managers and fans, media, all of it. However, she won a Grammy for a song that she sang afterwards. Kayla, being faithful to herself, in the end gave her more significant success. And her quote that I love the most is, true freedom comes from feeling like you can be you and not be silenced. You start to realize that you're enough. Your gifts are enough. Funny that, exact words that we heard Jim Carrey say after experiencing fame. If someone says to you right now, hey, you're enough, who you are is enough, let it sit with you for a minute, because there is sometimes something in that of discovery. Kayla Jones' advice to Hollywood was around, wouldn't it be great if Hollywood let people create what they wanted to create? But Hollywood is wired to sell and, create what it sells. Her advice for young people is, don't compromise who you are for fame, ever. Popular people seldom become significant, but significant people will become popular. So focus on being significant and being yourself. Wise words. I think that says it all. If you're craving fame, try focusing on being significant, which means audiences decide that a particular person is important enough to discuss. So here is how you can focus on being a more significant person. Number 1, values. Discover the values that guide you through life. When you discover yours, you can then schedule around them and live out of your values. This was a great exercise for me when I did it, because I was like, oh wow, these are the things, these are the pillars in my life that are really, really important. It's not like this goal that I'm trying to get to. It's how I want to live my life while I'm getting to that goal. What do I value? How do I want to schedule my day? What do I want to live out of? To get your free value workbook that I've created for artists, just head to larabiancapilcher.com/freebie. You can find it on my website. It's really, really easy, or through my social media. Just head to my website and you can grab that resource. Number 2 is purpose. What makes you want to get up in the morning? For example, what are you doing when you're most motivated? Try to spend time doing things that align with your purpose. I know for me, apart from being a performer and an actor in this season in my life, there are other things that make me want to get up out of bed in the morning. And one of those is the larabiancapilcher.com business. I love doing what I do here, talking to you. I love being able to influence other artists and teach other people the things that I have learned through so many years doing this. That's something that brings me incredible joy in my life. Number 3 is give back. Aim to make the lives of others better by what you do and how you spend your time. So when I was just focusing on being an artist, that was in my London season, I definitely felt more mental health struggle than I do today where I am an artist, but I also have this focus through this work that I'm doing as I chat to you now about giving back to others. And that actually, I think in the end is far more of a legacy than, another actor. Do you know what I mean? Or another musical theatre performer, another triple threat. Because we know that they're a dime a dozen, but somebody that makes a difference in the lives of others will be a significant person. And number 4 is love. Not as a cliche. Work towards being less self-focused and love the significant people in your life. There's people around you right now that you can focus on. What can I do today to show my love? And living from that place not only makes you feel better, but it actually creates a world around you that is far more positive. So how you focus on being more significant is values, purpose, give back, and love. In conclusion, it takes a ton of grind to become and remain famous. If you're not inclined to work hard, this direction may not be the one for you. Moreover, even if you work your hardest, you may never become famous because it takes an element, a component of luck too. So spend time sincerely asking yourself, why do I crave being famous? Or having a huge following or whatever it is? The answers may surprise even you. I'm focused on leaving a meaningful legacy that helps others become the best artists they can be, inside and out. And I'm focused on career success and significance also. Friends, if you're enjoying this podcast, take a minute to share it with an artist that you know. I'm with you on the journey. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Reach out on social media to me. I would love to hear from you. Okay, bye for now. Phew, today's masterclass is done. I love reaching back and saying, I've done this, and helping you learn the easy way. If you want more, head to larabiancapilcher.com for show notes, links, freebies, my blog, coaching and courses, and you can also head to my socials, Lara Bianca Pilcher on Instagram and Facebook. I'm also on Twitter and Pinterest. Thanks again for listening. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts. That would mean the world to me. And of course, keep on living the healthy, wealthy, wise artist living towards your dream life. Bye, friends. P.S. Shout out to my hottie hubby, Andrew Pilcher, who does all the editing on this podcast.